Hello, my name is Timothy Halloran. I am a person, a human being. I don't think any other fancy title really needs to be given. I talk to a camera every couple weeks. We talk about what's going on inside ourselves, what we're feeling, what we're experiencing personally and as a collective. And we talk about what's going on in the world as a collective. We talk about the gist. We're going to talk about the gist. There's a lot of gist coming up this next month. And of course we correlate this with celestial symbolism, celestial events. And with anything astrology, this is all experimentation. So let's see what happens when there's a lot of celestial symbolism. It's pretty condensed in the month of September. This is the big and final wave of 2016 that we got coming up this next month. So let's experiment. Let's see what happens when we have a lot of condensed celestial symbolism and how this affects us personally and as a collective. So I'm going to try to breeze through this astrology and then really get to the underlying gist, despite Mercury being retrograde and me not being able to think and communicate correctly. So let's see, this Mercury is stationing at the final degree of Virgo tomorrow, stationing retrograde. Today, Venus is passing Mercury and entering the sign of Libra. Then coming up this week, September 1st, is our first eclipse, a solar eclipse at 9 degrees of Virgo. This eclipse is opposite to Neptune on the south node of the moon, square to Mars and Saturn in Sagittarius. So that's going to be this upcoming weekend. The sun conjoins the north node of the moon. Then the following weekend, Saturday, September 10th, we have the final of 3 Saturn squares to Neptune that has been going on this last year. This next weekend, the 10th and 11th, we also have Mercury opposite to Chiron and Venus in a square to Pluto. So there's a lot of stuff going on. We've got to talk about this eclipse. We're really going to be focusing on this solar eclipse because there's a lot of aspects that are lined up with this going on. This is happening in the sign of Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury. We have the ruler of Virgo, Mercury, turning retrograde and conjoined with Jupiter at the moment of this solar eclipse. So what is going on here? This is a north node solar eclipse, okay? An eclipse, first of all, is simply any full or new moon that aligns with the nodes of the moon. And these moon's nodes are called the hands of fate. It is where the collective evolutionary direction is happening. It's like this rubber band of energy that's very powerful, very vibratory. There's a lot that happens on this polarity. So we're going to talk about polarity, of course. And so, the moon's north node, this is our destiny. This is the direction. This eclipse is happening on the north node of fate. So, this is essentially eclipse season time is when this portal opens up, all right? Especially when it's coinciding with a Mercury retrograde. This is like the portal opens up, everything starts shifting around, everything gets really disorganized. This is a kind of uncomfortable time. I mean, I'm going to be brutally honest. This is a kind of uncomfortable time, particularly for those of us who are sensitive and really sensing what's going on beneath the surface. And Virgo is a sign of hypersensitivity. Virgo is an earth sign having to do with the body, the senses, the environment that's around us, ruled by Mercury, a very analytical planet. So we can be feeling kind of hypersensitive to the noises that's going on around us. By the way, these sounds are cicadas. They are bugs that live in the trees. It's not any subliminal messages. Okay, so North Node going into Virgo. What is Virgo about? A solar eclipse is a new moon. We are sowing a seed of intention of the direction that we want to be moving towards is going into Virgo. And this is not just sowing the seed for the next month, the next moon cycle. It's actually the next 6-month cycle until we have our springtime eclipses. And so Virgo is the sign of purity, the sign of practical functioning. Virgo is the sign of our actual role in the world, our work, our craft, our duty, and our spiritual function as well. Virgo is when we get serious about what the world actually needs, what is actually required of us as a human being. That way we can give our optimal best. That way we can create our finest craft. That way we can be the optimal devotional service of love, of spirituality, of healing, of self-improvement. These are all Virgo phrases. It's about rectification. The moon's north node has been in Virgo this entire year. It's been about fine-tuning, rectification, doing things differently, spotting what's wrong, spotting what's missing, going there, going into what needs fixing, going into what needs to be addressed, confronting what is not perfect. And there's a lot that must have to do with forgiveness and acceptance in order to do this type of practical work. We cannot blame ourselves for being not immaculate, perfect, divine beings. We're human beings. We're always on a path of improvement. We're always on a path of rectification because we want to be and do all the best that we can, to be at our highest potential as a human being, to be a servant to others, to be an inspiration to others, to be able to create in the most realistic way. And so the movement from Leo into Virgo is when we start to really get realistic about our expression as an individual. Okay? Leo is like the releasing of my creative truth. It's when we stand on our soapbox and we say, look at me, this is what's important, this is what we need, this is my truth, this is my creativity, this is my beauty. Which is, oh, wonderful and beautiful, but then we get into Virgo, and this is what naturally follows Leo. Leo's the king, the leader. Any person in any type of leadership center stage position knows what comes when you put yourself in a leadership center stage position. People start to point out, oh, you're not doing it this way, oh, well, you missed talking about this. We start to hear from the peanut gallery. We start getting recommendations, improvements, fine picking, tuning, and this is the Virgo phase. And that's what becomes before Libra. Before we can become harmonious in relationships, interacting with other people in a harmonious, collaborative way, we actually need to learn how to do it in a practical, functional, actually going to benefit others, paying attention to the details, fine-tuning, and making things actually work. So let's talk about the dynamics of this solar eclipse, because it is opposite to Neptune on the moon's south node. So let's talk about this Neptune on the moon's south node. Neptune will be closing into a conjunction with the moon's south node through November. So really through the end of 2016, Neptune on the south node. Now the south node of the moon, this is the polarity where we tend to get stuck. Yeah, the south node of the moon doesn't have the best reputation in astrology. It's where we need to be aware, where we need to watch out for getting caught in past patterns, of getting stuck in stagnation, of not evolving towards the future, but remaining in the past. No improvement, no fixing, no healing. And of course that can be dismal, particularly with Saturn square Neptune right now. This can be a collective feeling, is dismal, hopelessness. This Saturn square to Neptune, which is going to be forming through the next week exact, is where we really start to feel everything that's not ideal. This North Node solar eclipse in Virgo is about addressing what is not ideal. But where can we potentially back out and cop out and drop out is Neptune on the moon's south node. I would like us to think of this Neptune on the south node as the cliff. And Neptune, being the cliff, being the fool, isn't typically a bad thing. It's surrender to what's beyond us, and it's unfathomable, and so we just have to surrender and kind of take the plunge. But there's negative connotation to this as well. So the cliff, we can sort of feel this potential, maybe in our consciousness, maybe in our peripherals. It's like this black hole that can suck things up. And what is this? Is escapism, copping out. There's too much going on in the world right now. It's too complicated. I can't handle it. So I'm going to cop out through some escape or another, which can take many shapes and many forms. It can be drugs and alcohol. It can be escapism into computer land, into Facebook land, and get distracted by this, that, or that. This is Pokemon Go coming out with Neptune on the South Node. Augmented reality. Oh yeah, it's like I'm kind of in reality, but then I put this in front of my face and now there's fantasy being projected into my perception. Distract myself with fantasy, distract myself with escapism. It's too much to deal with reality right now, so let's check out and watch some reality television, which is of course the opposite of reality. Okay, so we just need to be aware of this potential and not go off the cliff, okay? There's a balance to everything. Much of this North Node being in Virgo Solar Eclipse period is that we do have to be forgiving. We do have to have a balance. A big key to healing is delicacy, is being gentle, forgiving of ourselves and others. We can't expect ourselves to be perfect, but we don't want to go off the deep end either. And we will be witnessing people going off the deep end. Again, this Neptune on the South Node can also be like hopelessness. Like, where is God? Where is the ideal? Where is the goal? I do not see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not there. I feel everything closing in on me, and so what choice do I have but to escape? And so with all of this stuff we've been talking about a lot of this year, we're dealing with coping mechanisms. And we all have coping mechanisms. We all sort of need coping mechanisms when we're going through a difficult time, which this time can potentially be. And what we're going to be talking about is whether or not it's a difficult time for us. This is a call to action if it's not a difficult time for us, because people are struggling. This is the time for us to initiate our capacity to be of service, uplift, and help others. Virgo. Okay? So this Virgo-Pisces polarity is where we're experiencing the tension with these eclipses. And this polarity of Pisces-Virgo has great potential. This is like real enlightenment here. Like we talk about enlightenment with Scorpio, Taurus, Gemini, Sagittarius. This is like, Virgo is about purification. Purification means getting rid of all that is not authentically us. This means what it means to get purities out of water, right? Get anything out of the water that's not H2O. Get back to the essence. And so yes, we are entering a collective purge time this month. The lunar eclipse will be conjoined Chiron in Pisces. This is about removing the impurities, removing the distractions. And this can happen through awareness. Mercury stationing retrograde, conjoined with Jupiter at the moment of this solar eclipse. This can be realizations, eyes opening, change of direction, changes of our goals, our orientation towards life and the collective. These realizations can awaken us to a reality that calls our attention and motivates us to get into work. What it really means to be a human being, to do the work, to do the craft, to help other people, to be the servant, to be the devotee. And of course, this is all ultimately very good for us. This is a profound gift when we really come into our authentic and purified role, which means we get rid of all the distractions, the misleading beliefs, etc. The insecurities, the judgments, the inadequacy is a part of what we will be releasing. Here's the point. It's like with food poisoning, you know. This is Virgo-Pisces stuff. This is the last age, the last 2,000 years. We are seeing the issues of the paradigm that has existed for 2,000 years in terms of belief system, in terms of culture, in terms of government, philosophy, how we structure and orient ourselves as a society. We are seeing with crystal clarity everything that is unresolved in all of this stuff, which is not really a punishment. It's not a punishment. It may feel really uncomfortable to get food poisoning, but when you get food poisoning, do you say to yourself, shit, I deserve this. Oh, what did I do to deserve this? Oh, God is punishing me with this food poisoning. No, it's practical. It's practical. You freaking swallowed some poison, man. It's time to get that shit out. And we better hope that we get it out. Wouldn't you rather get rid of everything that is making us feel uncomfortable than to just sit on it. Oh, gonna try to escape, gonna try to get out of here and avoid. We're gonna see this. We're going to, you know, be tempted by this. And it ultimately does not benefit us to just shove this stuff down. Let it come up. Let it all come out. It's a little bit uncomfortable. You know, I would correlate this time to feeling like we're on the operation table. Yes, Virgo stuff. Yeah. Lunar eclipse conjoined Chiron square to Mars. It's like we're having some incision work done. We're having some operations done on us. There's some stuff that's being moved around in us. Eclipse season, Mercury retrograde. Oh yeah, we're feeling all this stuff. The scalpels, the tubes, the fluids moving in and out. You know, and you know, this is a time too where a lot of people can just pop out of here. And it's like, some of us might be feeling this experience like, am I the only one? Is this like a punishment that I'm sensing and feeling and observing all of this? No. This is a time where the old age is rearing its ugly head and trying to get our attention so we can change things. And a lot of people are acting like this is all normal. And it's not normal. It's not normal. Every day is a new moment. Every day is completely different than the last. This is a huge opportunity for us to get down to business about what truly matters in our own personal lives and our own world, and to set healthy systems, schedules, routines, boundaries, beliefs that actually practically work for us in the world, in our bodies. You know, Virgo is health. It is the body. It is the food you eat. You are what you eat. You are what you eat in more ways than just the physical body stuff. It's your environment, it's the people you hang around, it's the beliefs that you possess, etc. So, we recently had Mars conjoin Saturn, and they're now in their new phase conjunction, and we may have noticed there's been a lot of intense, powerful, passionate, masculine energy. Mars-Saturn coming together. Saturn is like the authority, the big guy, the president. Mars is like the sword, the warrior, the leader. These two planets coming together is just like, this is what I'm doing, this is how it is, this is the truth. Seriously, get the hell out of my way. Oh, you would like to have an argument or a dispute with me? Okay, we'll see about that. Yeah, this is in the sign of Sagittarius. The sign of philosophy, truth, religion, government, and culture. We're having a lot of attention brought to these areas, and what we're going to be experiencing as a potential result of this time, of this energy dynamic, of the approaching presidential elections in the United States is fragmentalism, sectarianism, and this is actually a part of the South Node Neptune conjoinment, which is copping out, checking out, via scapegoating, blaming other people, so we don't have to take responsibility for our world because it's somebody else's fault. Oh, it's the Republican Party, it's the Democratic Party, it's the president, it's the government, it's their religion, it's their nation, it's their belief system, it's their way of doing things. That's the reason why everything is messed up. It's very easy to take that type of blame all, get in a fight with you, I'm going to change the world for the better by eliminating you type of mindset. And we have all this really powerful masculine energy that we need to use in a constructive way. This Mars-Saturn is square to this approaching eclipse, which also means that it's square to the moon's nodes. Any planet square to the moon's nodes in transit is a temporary skipped step. It means that we actually need to do Mars-Sagittarius, but in the more evolved way, and this is non-sectarianism. These issues and these problems which we are seeing very evidently in the culture, in the collective, in the world, cannot be resolved by continuing to divide, fragment, and battle one another. There has to be some type of unification, and that unification can't be done in the old way. The old Neptune on the South Node, all adopting the same belief system, all possessing the same foresight, we're all going to wait for somebody else to do it for us, is Neptune on the South Node. I believe some savior is going to incarnate and save the world from disaster because we're too screwed to do it. And all the people that don't believe in the Savior, well, they're the reason that the Savior isn't here yet. You know, like all this bullshit. We're really getting down to business with what is in our collective belief system, in our philosophies, in our truths, in our culture that is just terribly unhealthy. This presidential election is going to make it excruciatingly obvious, as we have everything that's wrong with society running against everything that's wrong in politics. And this is supposed to be a democracy, and we're supposed to have free will, and we're supposed to be able to choose. And this is why people cop out, because it seems like we don't. Hopelessness, choicelessness, uncertainty, nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. And so people won't be going to vote because it's all pointless. And people won't be trying to do anything about this collective situation because it's out of our hands. And that's the bullshit of this situation. We need to harness this Mars Sagittarius, Saturn in Sagittarius, which is that we need to set goals for ourselves that are healthy, that are unifying, that bring all people together under the umbrella of what needs to be fixed and resolved in the world, which is, trust me, it's not a personal thing. And a part of this Mercury retrograde conjoined with Jupiter in Virgo is that we also need to eliminate some of these distracting beliefs that keep us from the truth, that it's not really a good versus evil thing. That's what provokes all of this blaming the bad guy, blaming the other, it's white versus dark, you know, etc. That is one of these collective beliefs that's actually making the situation preventable from being healed. So what do we need to do is we need to address the collective goals here, which is that we need to heal and improve the situation which is harming all of us, and we need to start including all of us in the what is being harmed here. Oh, well, I'm on the right side of the fence and I have all the money and everything's good for me, so everything's good. No, it's not. Virgo ultimately humbles us. This is a time where we can experience this humbling. And this is, again, it is a purification time. It means stripping away all the bullshit, all the roles, all the attachments that used to overinflate us and distract us from doing the real good work that we as souls came here to do. And of course, the demographic that I sort of preach to, you guys are the healers. We're here to address what is actually existing in the real world. And so this is a call to action for many of us to benefit the people that are actually suffering in their bodies, in their environments, in their relationship. Okay? It becomes physical. It becomes tangible. And so this is a humbling time. And that is a deflation. And it is a hollowing out. We may have heard this word holy, to be hollowed out. This is the meaning of the Pisces Virgo polarity. Virgo is where we become purified, we become hollowed out. So what? The polarity of Pisces can move through us. Pisces is the love of God, the divine dance, the essence of love, of life, of everything that moves through us. It is the collective dancing as a collective. We're all one. We're all connected. We are just the fingers on the arm of something else that's connected to something else that's connected to something else. When we hollow ourselves out, we allow that greater, more powerful, more healing, more miraculous energy to move through us. Virgo is the channel. Virgo is the healer. Virgo is the high priestess. What has cut down our capability to become the hollow channel, to be a servant of goodness in the world, has been a lot of cultural, religious, sectarian distraction, suppression of the feminine, suppression of the Virgo archetype. Virgo means virgin. There wasn't just Jesus Christ, there was a Mother Mary and there was a Mary Magdalene who became what? The whore. The whore is what the high priestess was turned into. The word virgin did not used to mean a chaste woman to be sold off to a man twice her own age, to be disempowered for the rest of her life. The word virgin used to mean self-autonomous woman who is capable and wise enough in herself to be able to survive on her own. That is what the word virgin means. That is what the high priestess is. That is what the healer is. And so, what must we do? is get into our own capability to be a channel and a servant of the higher good, which means it's not just personal anymore. The first 5 signs, Aries through Leo, is all about me as an individual, my story, my truth, what I'm doing to survive. Virgo is when all that starts to change. We become aware of the world. We become aware of our desire to improve ourselves. Isn't that what we want to do as evolved human beings? And there's different ways to do this. We can focus on our craft. I'm going to become the ultimate blacksmith. I'm going to become the ultimate creator of this or that. I'm going to become the ultimate servant of this or that. And I am going to make my work immaculate, impeccable. It's going to be perfect. It's going to be great. It's going to impress others with how well it functions. It's not about the name and glory for me. I want to actually benefit others. The other way this can play out is through removing all the distraction, getting this out of the way, and then we become inspired by others that are in the role of goodness. The saints, those who are giving their lives to charity, those who are giving their lives to service of others. We become inspired by them and we let them start to come into us and fill us up. So that way it's more than just our own personal name and glory, etc. And this is what initiates us into being the potential of what a human being is, which is to be a servant. And in that endeavor, we are also healing our innocence. We are healing what it means to be a spiritual being, which does not mean that you have to get everything right and perfectly squared away. It means that we are constantly in this endeavor of seeking improvement. And this is the number one thing I could possibly recommend in this month of September, is let's all be gung-ho about seeking improvement, seeking how we can be a more humble, a more serving, a more forgiving, a more embracing, actually going out into the world, actually uplifting people, actually healing people's wounds in the flesh, giving to the poor, giving to those in need, those who are struggling, those who are overwhelmed, those who feel like they're underwater. We can go out and reach them. This service must also be extended to ourselves. Many of us who are sensitive will be feeling like we're underwater. We are all purging out this food poisoning, which can exist in the form of inadequacy, which can exist in the form of conditioning, which has happened over 2,000 years, involving the belief in original sin. That we are here to fix ourselves because we already fucked up. And so we need to cat and nine-tail ourselves, and oh my gosh, I deserve this. It's all punishment, and this is what the world gets. It's all apocalypse. The world and God is punishing us for not being divine and immaculate yet, and so we need to punish ourselves, which is of course not the real resolution here. A real resolution that might be provoked from this sense of hopelessness, of feeling empty, and that feeling of emptiness is part of the Virgo archetype. It's actually good, it's part of being hollow, but we can also feel emptiness. Saturn square to Neptune is feeling a lack of the ideal. You may have noticed an increase of nightmares recently. Neptune is our imagination and our dreams. Saturn is like this heavy, limiting reality, coming into our imagination, oppressing our dreams. You've got reality to deal with, and reality is sometimes ugly, it's scary, and we wake up in the middle of the night with our hand on end being just like, whoo, wow, life gets pretty real sometimes. Yeah, things feel pretty constricted sometimes. Yeah, this heart-opening experience, it feels pretty real. I mean, you want to know the opportunity of this month? It's to get really in touch with the love of God. And the love of God is not some petty, superficial thing. Those that understand the love of God understand the symbol of the flaming heart surrounded by thorns. It wakes us up, and this heart of compassion bursts open, and then we have no choice but to help those in need because we love and care so much for them. So what also can be provoked from this sense of hopelessness, of emptiness, and I'm not trying to be overly negative here because this is a motivating force. There is no good or bad. This is all good. It's healthy for us. It can encourage us to pray. This is what gifts us the reconnection to the importance of ritual, of prayer, of finding a meaningful orientation to give our energy to, that makes us feel good about ourselves because we're offering more than just our own selfish personal life. We're involved with others. We're involved in trying to uplift this world to improve the sense of hopelessness. Do not go into the cliff of escapism, of drugs and alcohol. We will see people play out this role. And instead of going there and getting stuck over the side of the cliff ourselves, we need to figure out ways to actually improve the situation of our lives in a healthy, practical, functionable way. This means we do need to live healthier. We do need to pay attention to what goes into our body. We do need to pay attention to the repeating loops that go on in our mind. Mercury retrograde takes us back into the past. Mercury retrograde in Virgo is a particularly focused, see what needs to be addressed here. Oh my goodness, this past pattern, it's really apparent to me now that this has been recycling in a sort of unhealthy way, and let's get to the root issue. Let's make it practical. Let's not make it a, oh, you didn't believe in this, or oh, you didn't do the right ritual belief system back in the past, and so this is your karma coming back to you. This is all horse shit that actually makes it easier to get stuck in the Neptune cliff of hopelessness and, well, if I just deserve damnation, I guess I might as well just check out. Instead, let this be a motivating force for us to fill ourselves back up with that which is healthier, with that which inspires us so much more. Get in connection with those people that have already taken the plunge in our lives. You may have noticed that there are some real gems in your life that have come from tremendously dark places, that had incredibly difficult childhoods, and yet they are this brilliant, loving, caring, helping other people type of person. It's because they've gone through this experience and they come out on the other side. This is a gift to us. Let's harness this. Let's pray for the suffering of all souls. Let's pray that God's love go to all places, to all fallen and abandoned souls, not just the ones on the right side of the fence or the, no. May God's love go to all places. May I be someone who can go into the darkness, who can go into the poverty-stricken, the hopeless places, that I may be a source of light, of illumination and love in this world that needs me to be a vessel of improvement, that needs me to be a role model of good health, of orientation to this earth, which means bringing spirit down into us, harnessing it and then bringing it down into the earth to heal this mother that has suffered so much oppression for thousands and thousands of years, because our priests and our teachers have told us that heaven is up there, so why don't you just go up there? And it makes it all the more easy to be just like, oh, well, I might as well just check out here and sprinkle a little DMT on there so we can get up and out of our body and see what God is all about. And we're missing the point right now, and I don't recommend that type of journeying right now, because it can very much backfire. It's going to make us more confused. It's going to make us more overwhelmed. It's going to make us more disoriented. And we need to focus on what's actually going on in the real world, in our bodies, in our relationships, in practical, earthly. What is in my immediate environment? What is in my immediate circle of friends? How can I go out there and be this source of love, of inspiration, and upliftment? And trust me, my friends, it comes full circle. You will find the greatest satisfaction in doing this type of service. So let's go ahead and get on this wave and be the healers that we are. For ourselves as well. Yeah, no more of this put yourself last. Oh, to be a good person means to put yourself last, so that way you're like roadkill and exhausted. No, we need to take care of ourselves too. When we feel uncomfortable, when you're sick with food poisoning, it is the time for us to care for ourselves. That way we can be replenished. That way we can be strong enough to carry on and bring our service out there into the world. And so I'm very, very seriously wishing us all the best in this endeavor. It would be my pleasure as an astrologer to offer my own service to you. And the question is, my friends, how may I help you? How may I help you? This is the question we want to be asking ourselves in a very realistic, practical way, as well as others. So if I can help you in any of the services that I do offer natal chart readings. I would be more than happy, very blessed to do this type of work, to share this type of information with you. And let's stick together. This is a time that really brings people together. This is Venus moving into Libra. See, I told you I can't cover all the technical stuff. There's way too much. Venus into Libra, reconnecting with groups, seeing what needs to really be focused on. Venus square to Pluto, September 11th is like, what do I really value? We've got to get down to reality in the groups we're hanging out with, the people that we're sharing our ideas with. Let's actually make this work for each other in this world so we can bring this world into a greater sense of balance, harmony, and love. All the best to you and your beloveds. Namaste.